Hello everyone. Welcome to Sustainable Living with Shilpa Reddy, powered by Planet Green's Farm Natura, a new beginning to your life. On today's episode of Dates County Nature's Tycoon, I have with me an architect, an entrepreneur, and a change maker who has a vision for sustainable future for urban communities. Let's welcome Nagesh Kumar Battula on my show. Hello Nagesh Garu.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege for us.
Thank you. It's my privilege actually to say because I have heard about Organo a few years back. And in fact, your brochure was sitting on my table for the longest time. It was given by Amla Garu to me. But unfortunately, I couldn't visit your community. But I want to know a lot about you today from an architect, someone who calls himself a laborer and a game changer. How did your journey begin?
Thank you very much. Like our brochure stayed with you for so long, but I make a formal invite to you to come and visit our place, what we created.
Okay.
Fortunately, I had a childhood which is both between rural setup as well as city upbringing.
Okay.
So that gave me a perspective in terms of like what we do right now as a Rurban communities as a mix of both rural and urban conveniences. So, but ever since I started my practice around say way back around, I should say 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So right after my 18th year, I actually got into architecture.
Okay.
I worked for 3 years briefly.
Okay.
And then later on, I started my own practice.
Okay.
So I had been there in the industry as a consultant, more like a architect who takes a fee and then delivers certain service.
Okay.
And why I chose architecture is it's more deeper because I, at that point of time, I used to think I'm Howard Rock. There's a famous novel by Fountainhead, and there's an Iron God
I know Fountainhead.
who wrote that book. I got terribly influenced by that, and I used to think that I'm a very headstrong architect.
Oh wow.
So, and mostly it is also like I didn't do a lot of formal education as such, but more like self-taught. And of course, I had a great guru, I should say, like with whom I was there for almost 2 years.
Okay.
Suhas Tomiani. He used to be top architect those days.
Okay.
So I used to work with him. And I was very passionate about architecture as such. Like all the other cousins or friends, everybody, when they were actually migrating to IT, I choose to stick to architecture because it's like really
Creative also, I think.
yeah,
right?
it's also obviously. So I've been practicing. I built a firm for over 2 decades. It's around 120 people, or at some point it was more than that.
Okay.
So built a company called Fountainhead Design. Like it's an architectural firm.
Okay.
And now, of course, it is run by my other colleagues. They all take care of it. We built large homes, large communities, large master plan projects across India as well as abroad.
Okay.
Like some of the projects are also in Abu Dhabi, Middle East.
Oh wow. But are they all sustainable or not really?
Not really, actually.
That was the
see, as an
beginning of your
architect,
career.
No, all through we were doing, even today we do a lot of jobs,
Okay.
a lot of works. Sustainability is one aspect of design, right?
Okay.
Usually when any client comes and gives us a brief, sometimes they may have sustainability as an ask, like they will ask that you please incorporate green building norms, things like that.
Okay.
But majorly it comes with certain brief. It could be real estate, it could be a hotel that we are doing, an island hotel for Mayfair Group that we did, or Sheraton beachfront property that we did.
Okay.
Or in Nepal we are doing one more hotel for somebody.
Wonderful.
Or it could be commercial, like Imar is our client,
Okay.
golf course when they are doing. So usually green norms are embedded in the brief to some extent. So it's always there. Like we are aware, we studied that. And we do incorporate certain things without even like...
But what is the ambition behind Organo? It's like a organic urban community which has not been done before. So what was the passion behind this particular project?
While I was doing the practice, I got used to uh, addressing these briefs that client gives.
Okay.
Lot of times what happens is that as an architect, there is something more that we always can do.
Okay.
But we are limited with our scope that as a consultant, we can do only that much.
Okay.
Because the risk is not like as an architect I am taking. It's a developer or maybe a client. They are actually investing money and they want us to design in a certain way. Right? We had, of course, like influencing charisma, and then we had that personality to question customers, our clients, and then redirect to some extent. But largely it is confined to their brief and satisfying that brief.
Okay.
At some point, we actually realized that if there are no constraints, like we as architects, a lot of architects actually, they keep on saying that, I'm not fortunate to get a good client, right, who doesn't listen to me. Like we keep bitching that aspect of.
Okay. Like what you
in
really
practice.
want to do, you might not find
Always
a client.
you'll find it. Your scope is, your hands are tied, constrained. There are always constraints. But whereas, like at some point, we actually questioned ourselves, saying that, what if we don't have any limitations? And we only invest with what money that we earn. Like let us do our own project. Then who is going to construct?
Right.
Like can we actually go? How far can we go is the bigger thing, right?
Correct.
What we actually question to our own selves. That is the origin of Organo. Organo is something which where we actually question ourselves. How much do we push ourselves? How much boundaries that we can actually go beyond our known domain? Like our known domain is obviously architecture, buildings,
Right.
and green buildings, of course. With the green norms, right? Complying to those standards and rules and regulations.
Right.
So this is all what we know. But if we given a choice, like we given a money, if we have that money, assuming that we have money, how much can we push our boundaries? What we actually questioned ourselves.
Okay.
And that's the origin of Organo.
Organo. Okay.
Yeah.
So how different is Organo community from other communities? In how many ways is it different?
So it's actually fundamentally it's different from where it is any building is coming up. Like fundamentally at an intention level there is a difference.
Okay.
Here as a developer we intend to do certain thing.
Okay.
That is very strong compared to other probably normal buildings. I don't say all the buildings are like that or all the developers are like that. There are great builders who are doing great job.
Right.
Right, at an intention level, our intention comes first in our case, right? It's not business.
Yeah.
Business, of course, we have to make money. Otherwise, we can't sustain. It doesn't work at all.
That's true.
So that is always there. We have to make money is a backdrop in which when we call business, that's a fundamental thing.
Right.
How we differ from the rest of the people mostly is because our intention is to indulge in triple bottom line business where we have money. And there is a benefit to the planet, and there is also a benefit. There is a reasonable social impact that we are creating. So these three are important aspects which we thought should be essential ingredients of our business.
Okay.
That is first level. And then second level is then when we are getting into business, obviously we should fix some problem.
Right.
Not like going after just making some fancy building and then manufacture demand. Like manufacture demand in the sense like you artificially create a requirement and then try to sell it.
Right.
That's should not be the idea.
Right.
But we should go to the core of the problem. Like we should observe the society where is there any problem that we are solving. Like that was the intention with who we actually came up with this idea. Even today it's prevalent that we observe there is a huge problem there. People who are in cities, like who have made reasonable money and made first property, and then looking at getting out of city, they have few options that they have. That is, they buy some farmland.
Right.
Even if they want to be environmentally responsible, their choices were very limited.
That's right.
They have to go through all the struggles of doing it themselves, like either in the buy a farmhouse and then build a farmhouse,
Right.
dealing with the architect like us, and the lot of coordination, lot of things, commitment to get something built completely,
Right.
and install certain things that are like they think are sustainable, like to install a solar panels, or maybe a battery bank, or
Water
it could be
harvest,
setting up a organic farming set a
Correct.
infrastructure,
Right.
or it could be water management infrastructure, or it could be even a dairy animal husbandry setup if the farmland is big.
Okay.
So all this is a very cumbersome activity. It's like there is no one single guy
That's right.
who is actually willing to get into all these aspects and find a solution, figure out a solution, and gives a customer, ready to enjoy. That kind of a product is not available.
That's true.
So that is the area where we went, and then we tried to fix that problem. We made our business sense.
And you made a mark too, not
Yes.
just the business, but as you rightly said, planet, people, and profit. I think you touched all these three aspects beautifully.
Yeah.
And I also heard about apt homes. What is your vision for apt homes, and why do you call it unconditionally empathetic homes?
See, actually, as a group, we've been architects since very beginning. So 2.5 decades is not a small time.
Yes.
Right? There are so many things that we would have learned. Like we have seen different strata of the society, like client base, right from celebrities to normal people to everybody. When you look at when you want to look at a solution, obviously what is important is that you need to understand them properly.
That's true.
So you have to empathize with them. You have to really understand their psychological, financial, and all other social different norms that they actually go through, and they have their own idiosyncrasies. Every person will have. I will have. You will have.
Absolutely.
Everybody will have. So we usually do design a product for a certain strata of people, and then to cater to that strata, we need to literally meet them, understand what is actually how they live and how they respond to certain things, and how they look at sustainability. It may not be the same understanding as you and me probably have.
Absolutely not.
It differs from person to person, understanding and their doability also, like how much they actually can commit to,
Correct.
or how much they actually can indulge in that kind of lifestyle, new lifestyle if we are proposing. So as a group, what we do is we actually meet these people, try to draft a customer experience blueprint right from beginning to the all through its life cycle, like in our project at various stages when they're actually living, right? How this community should unfold, or how they should respond to this, or what are the areas where they may have problems, right? All those things are written down as much as possible, and then that's when we actually get into design. Like when we're designing a community, is it really apt to that particular persona?
Okay.
Can we have a clubhouse which is uber rich for a normal guy? Like obviously it becomes so irrelevant. Like you cannot relate to it.
Yes.
And you cannot maintain it, right? You cannot afford it. Things like this, right? Similarly, there are certain things that we propose to within our communities, like in terms of functional things. They have to suit to that particular persona.
So these apt homes are not lavish homes. Are they affordable for a lot of people?
It's not really that way. Apt home is like it could be to you, right? Who may be well off, right? It could be suitable. What is suitable to you is apt to you.
Okay.
What we mean by apt is not really saying that affordable homes or things like that.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, it's not really. That's not the context. Apt means our product being very apt
to that person who's
persona
buying it.
For whom we are designing.
Okay. Can apartment homes ever dream of at least half of the amenities that you offer to people in your communities?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I can't give you a quantification, like whether it is half or full.
Yeah.
Definitely, they cannot have dairy because they live in a city, and
Correct.
Fundamental problem is in cities you have land prices which are very high.
Correct. Yes.
But naturally, any developer will densify it. Like obviously, the density per acre in a city maybe it goes even to 20 families. Whereas in Organo, where we build, we have various different calculations, which makes us keep the density so low. So obviously, directly it is not possible
Right.
because that much land is not dedicated to so many other aspects what Organo offers. May it be farming, may it be horticulture, may it be the forest that around 20% of the land we allocate in our projects towards agroforestry.
I'm not talking about the land per se, but then like water harvesting or, like solar
Okay.
powered or a lot more plants, even though the place is not as big, but then there are green homes where I see a lot more plantation happening. So can those be something that apartment homes can dream of?
See, one of the projects that we are also doing as a group, like we are doing something in the city which is called Together Minds.
Okay.
That's coming up in Miyapur, almost finished, and one more in Bangalore also we are planning.
Okay.
So that project, I can actually give you an example. As an example, we attempted to go a little beyond, like normally what you see conventionally. To that, one level up we have gone,
Okay.
where we are collecting all the rainwater that falls within the site, and we have a sump where we hold that water
Okay.
and use it back to reduce the water requirement within that community.
Yeah.
And similarly, all the water that comes out of toilets is getting treated, and it goes back to not just conventional landscapes, but also it goes into edible gardens. Like where in 5 floors we actually created a edible gardens, which is
wow.
nothing but vertical farming,
Right.
and where all the treated water goes back, and it actually gives you some kind of food.
Okay.
And also the rooftop is fully covered with solar, and that electricity is also used to balance off the, because we have vertical farming, it doesn't have light during the, sufficient light won't be there, because it's stacked one above the
Right.
other. So we use that sun energy to generate again light during the day, so where some photosynthesis requirements are met within that farm. So that's another step we have done there.
That's wonderful. Do you see a future of such apartments coming, like more people aspiring to own or more, construction happening in that direction?
I'm 100% sure. IGBC is doing great propagation, and actually they are promoting left, right, center.
Okay.
And they are incentivized. There are a lot of incentives which government is also proposing.
Oh, that was my next
I'm
question
sure-
actually.
Yeah, a lot of people will embrace,
Okay.
and people also believe nowadays. All the developers also have recognized that there is some little bit premium that they actually get when they say their building is green. Either in terms of sellability, it is probably faster, or premium that they can command also is little higher.
Okay.
So I see a trend where sustainability is going to be mainstream
Okay.
quite faster.
Right. What is your idea of an ultimate greenhouse or a green construction?
So green construction is basically it should come from inside. I don't think it is something which somebody can try to acquire. So green is basically to demand minimization. I mean, in my view, I mean it's purely
course.
from my perspective. I'm saying one should actually have the intention to reduce their demand. Otherwise, whatever they create cannot be green.
Wow.
Right? You think of large, huge mansions and things like that, and then inherently you have one is driving with, say, that kind of a greed to build large home, and then trying to be green, like it's more like greenwashing, like to put products like that.
Right.
As a human being, we have some quota. The entire world is like, the entire earth has a lot of animals along with us, right?
Correct.
Like flora, fauna, so many people are there.
Yes.
And ideally, we should actually have our own fair share. Like whatever is due for us, that is what we are supposed to take as humans.
That's
But unfortunately, we are taking more because we are more capable, more stronger as a species.
right.
So we are dominating rest of the people, and then we are taking. So if one wants to be really green and eco-sensitive, fundamental thing is that am I consuming what is due to me, or am I consuming more? Like can I work with less?
Right.
Right? That is, I think, fundamental thing that should come
That's
inside.
so beautifully said. What you said is so beautiful and so true.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, green building norms, like you can refer to so many schools. I mean, so many school of thoughts.
Correct.
Right? Griha is there, LEED is there, and then you have IGBC, which is doing. Like these people are having their own manuals to refer.
Right. Yeah.
But that may not solve the problem completely unless, as a human being, we have that readiness, willingness to.
How important do you think is having a sustainable waste management in every community?
Yeah, no, it's must. There is
It's a
no
must.
question. It's a must.
Now it's a must.
Yeah, it's a must. Like if you don't clean your house, who will clean?
Right.
Like obviously, it has to be like everybody's responsibility, and every community they should have. I think a lot of communities are nowadays having, and even people are very well aware and
Conscious
sensitive
now.
enough, conscious enough, and they are doing very good. In fact, there is a community which I heard where they have purchased a land for composting within their campus.
Wow.
So they are using that back in their backyards and then balconies,
Right.
gardens. So a lot of things are happening,
Changing
and
slowly.
changes are happening. And I think people are also more sensitive. Especially, I see that in Telangana we are more aware. Like
You think so? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So, what do you do with the waste that is generated on construction sites? Are there any communities who pick up this kind of waste and dispose them safely, or how does that work?
Yeah, there are a lot of agencies who are professionally working.
Okay.
Right. I mean, within Hyderabad, you will find not at least a dozen of them. You'll find
Okay.
who are taking up the job. Like large developments, like what are happening in city, they do create a lot of debris, which has to obviously go to landfills.
Right.
I mean, construction industry, we produce. See, there is a lot of excavation that happens.
That's right.
And filling that happens. All this is usually in a city development when there is a huge density and lot of area to be dug and all this, they don't find a space.
Right.
So obviously they will find some other area where they have to do the filling. I mean, through their landfills and all this is a bigger issue for them.
Okay.
But in projects like where we do, like Organo and all this, we don't have that big a issue because we manage all our cut and fill. Right, wherever we cut, all that gets consumed in our own fillings, like below the plinth of the buildings.
So you use up your
Yeah,
the waste
usually,
that you generated.
Yeah. And right from first project, and even second project where we are doing, that is an Organo Antaram near Chevilla.
Okay.
Even there, we actually excavated huge dug wells.
Okay.
Right, the entire excavation material, not a single lorry went out.
Wow.
Everything was used in the site itself, either to form the roads, form the levels for the houses.
Okay.
Like it's used like that. And of course, there will be some amount of
Yes, of
debris
course.
that is always there, like some plastic waste that we generate, sometimes even electrical or electronic waste.
Yes.
We usually segregate and then dispose it of responsibly.
Yeah, that's most important.
yeah.
Segregation and disposing it responsibly is the most important thing. So it is said that concrete, metal, and glass is not really conducive for tropical climates that we live in. We still use it because it's durable, cost effective, but do you see going back to using what we used to use before with, of course, involvement of modern technology?
Of course, it's very good to use any earthy materials like lime plasters or rammed earth walls or any other technology which is more cradle to cradle, which follows cradle to cradle philosophy, where right from its production, right from its birth to where it gets disposed eventually over a period of time, it should not create any kind of loss, environmental loss.
Right.
So that's a very good thing to aspire for. But the problem is that those systems that we had, like lime plaster, that masons, the craft, we lost it to industrialization long ago.
Okay.
I mean, today, if the housing requirement that we have in the city is enormous. So, in my view, there are some materials which are inevitable, something like concrete. That's the best material man has invented.
Right.
And there is no point actually trying to avoid concrete and then rethink construction industry differently.
Okay.
Because concrete has its own longevity and
Yeah,
easily available, and also it gets biodegradable. It is also biodegradable to some extent. Of course, it's producing a lot of carbon emissions and all these things are happening in its production as a cement.
Yes, while you're
In the
producing.
industry, producing, and you are also doing a lot of mining, all that is. But you cannot simply say that concrete is not right or
Right.
glass is not right. But there is a way. Like in our buildings, what we do is, I mean, as engineers, we are all taught, like architects, we are all taught to energy model the buildings,
Okay.
ventilation model the buildings,
Oh,
and actually do the shading devices and other things, right, in such a way that you orient the building in such a way that it works, like it actually cools itself. Like there are other things that we actually can do.
So there's more design
Yeah.
intervention rather than trying to change what we're already using.
Correct.
Okay.
The reason is that I'm saying that I'm 100% I will say yes, we should promote sustainable materials being used in the industry. But the point is that where is that as an industry we are creating so much of workforce to deliver that much of, it's not possible.
Possible. Yeah,
So that's
not
why it is becoming elite, right?
Yes.
So with elite, very few people can afford and use it in their probably personal homes.
That's right.
But as a projects, I don't see it as a sustainable model to use rammed earth
Makes sense.
walls,
Yes.
and like it won't be possible. Like you cannot catch up the speed. It doesn't make business sense.
Maybe you can't even build so many towers.
Stories, yeah.
Stories, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been doing such amazing work. Have you seen from your experience, are people more happier with sustainable models? Does it have an impact on their psychology and physiology?
See, I mean, actually, I would say Organo as a product when we started, we didn't had any marketing, or in fact, we didn't had a lot of money to market ourselves that well. So we went with what we were doing. Only with one simple, one gumption that we had is that you create a good environment which is suitable to end user, right? Once he lives there, he's going to get us customers.
Right.
So today, like Organo sells almost like 70% of its stock because of word of mouth from the previous customer.
That's right.
The only reason, I can actually relate is this, the sustainable features that we have given are more of customer experience based. Like actually they really see spinach or some of the vegetables that actually grow every day, they see in their house.
The quality,
The
nourishment.
the nourishment, that uneven sizes or whatever, whether I don't have to say whether it is organic or inorganic. It's in front of them.
That's right.
And the staff are paid by them. And similarly, the Goshala, when milk is coming to them or the ghee that is coming to them, and the community who are actually are spearheading that thing, right? Like they are taking care of the cows.
Right.
And they're all healthy cows, happy cows, giving milk happily after they feed their children. Like the calves.
Yeah.
That is the milk that when they are actually drinking.
Mother is not stressed.
No stress.
Okay.
So the people, when they are actually living it, that's what they are actually signing up.
Right.
And every kid in the community, like small children, their upbringing totally changed. We have observed a lot of parents who used to live in apartments in the city. Their children who used to be a little bit introvert and very fearful in terms of like small insects or anything.
Yes.
Today they are even able to deal with even snakes, right?
Wow.
Like when they see snakes or any other insects or animals, small animals, and the way they grow up, the way the psychological impact that they have, the environment that they are subjected
So
to.
that means we are nature, and then like locking ourselves in concrete boxes has somehow disconnected us from nature, and also it has impacted on our health physiologically and psychologically. And what you just said made so much sense. So that's a fantastic observation that you made, I guess.
And even like the lot of other small technological things, like how we produce our power and how all our waste is going to biogas plant and then gets digested and comes back to the soil.
Right.
There are so many closed loop systems which our community has. When children or even residents, for that matter, when they are actually go through it and then when they see it and when they are part of it, and it is actually user friendly, like it's not very complicated, like you don't have to do so many things, you just have to put your waste the way you're putting in apartments. It goes to biogas and it comes back in certain way, and there are rooftop solar panels which are actually cooling your house and they're producing energy, and you don't have to worry about how to manage it. Like that user interface is what makes interesting for people to easily embrace sustainability.
And also they start becoming more responsible when they see the whole thing happening in front of them, I think, right?
Correct.
So I wanted to know, what is your wildest ambition, in your field of work? What is that you want to see? Like, it could be a dream or it could be an ambition. The wildest thing that you want to aspire.
I do have a lot of wild aspirations. And see, what we are right now, we are running a company with a very strong purpose. That is to co-create eco-habitats that celebrate living.
Wow.
This is what I feel, that makes me wake up every day, 24/7. It keeps me dreaming about what I should do, what corrections I should actually bring to this overall agenda that we have. Our agenda is to counter-urbanize at least 5,000 families by 2025. That's,
Okay.
I think we are not really there, but
Okay.
that is our dream.
How many families did you touch so far?
We are right now probably around 700 families size, and 5,000 is our aspiration. So there's a lot of gap.
Okay.
And to achieve this, obviously we have to scale up in terms of the talent that we have. We have to acquire more talent, and we should be ready with different type of processes, maybe farming, maybe animal husbandry, or some of the renewable energy systems that we are putting. Like, few things are easy, few things are a little complicated.
Okay.
And every project, when we are actually doing, we don't really call it project,
Okay.
because ours impact goes beyond the project. We call it eco-habitat.
First, to celebrate life. I love that line.
Yeah, of course it has to celebrate. Samavriddhi, what we call it, right? It's not just you celebrating as a human being. It's like flora, fauna, and then surrounding villages, and the symbiotic relationship this community should have with neighboring villages. All this together actually becomes important for us.
So completely inclusivity.
Yes. It's a habitat.
Habitat.
It's an eco-habitat.
Okay.
That's what we create.
Wow.
So it's a little different. Because we want to do that only, not because bikta hai to kuch bhi kar do. It's not like that. We want to create, we have an agenda very clearly set. So we have a scalability issue. Maybe we cannot probably go faster. Like, if given a choice, we should counter-urbanize some lakhs of people. Hyderabad every day attracts so many people coming to urban cities and settling down here, which are making villages vacant, right? A lot of villagers, they are actually leaving every day. A depletion of number of farmers, count is actually going down every day. And there are so many other microsystems which any village will have. All those things are slowly diminishing.
Absolutely.
So, and problem is also compounding in urban setting. Like, you have waste management is a big issue, water management is an issue, security is an issue. Any healthcare, any pandemic that comes, virus will find very easily a lot of people at one place.
Correct.
It's like it can kill more faster.
That's true.
So the problem we are compounding in urban context. So this has to reverse. For it to reverse, there has to be maybe organos, there should be 1,000 organos who should work simultaneously.
Right.
To bring some change.
Absolutely. So I want to know what other things that you have at Organo.
We are very much committed to do our own eco-habitat, but do nothing else, honestly speaking. But actually what happens is, because we have this idea of doing eco-habitat as a holistic solution, we had to go out of our comfort zone and start so many other businesses which actually complement an eco-habitat making.
Okay.
We have a social impact goal that we have imposed on ourselves in our projects, like maybe Antaram, Organo Damargidda, or Organo Kandwada. We have an impact area that we are supposed to work towards.
Okay.
Like, you take water, like rain is falling on our side. It's not just our side, right? It has an impact. Like, there is a ridge boundary, what we call it. Like, that is the area in which water will fall. That water will flow through our project, or from our project, water will flow through other lands.
Places, yeah.
So if we want water sustainability in that region, it cannot be limited only to our land parcel. It has to go beyond our land parcelage. Similarly, somebody is spraying, say, chemicals in their farming, they will have a ripple effect on us, right? I mean, our community people also will breathe the same air, polluted, chemical, toxic air.
Okay.
So we have an agenda to ensure that eco-habitat is safe with respect to all 7 strands of sustainability that we measure our project on. So as part of that, when we are actually doing our projects, there are initiatives around converting farmers to organic farmers or natural farming methods.
Okay.
With a vested interest to feed our own customers healthy food.
So not just your community, but around your community, all the farmers are being taught.
Wow. The reason is that because within our project, we cannot produce all the vegetables or all the pulses or all the millets and other things that are required. So we sensitize, we take our community members' requirement and then try to negotiate and sensitize those people to grow those things in safe practices and make them interact with each other, whereby we create witnessed and safe food. So to make sure a commercial angle is met, like the farmer is actually having financial gain to continue his practice, obviously we had to start a business called Organo Farm Store, where our endeavor is to be around our community people, like our Organo customers, city homes, or their eco-habitat homes. Around that area, we mitigate that issue. So we created that business. Similarly, we have Organo at School. Where, Organo at School is what we call it. Where we intervene in, we try to educate or impart knowledge, whatever we learned. That's what we usually share it with schools. Or it could be communities. We go and take up workshops and some of the assignments to calculate whether that community can be green or not. Right? We do involve in that kind of activities.
So you have like a school, it's like a weekend school or?
It's actually a virtual school.
Oh, it's a virtual school.
Virtual school. We either go to, on weekends, we either go to communities or we bring children to our farm. We have some farmlands. We give them hands-on experience. We'll actually give them, assign some patches of lands and then say, can you take up Kharif season? Like, can you grow? Like, we pick up, say, 20 or 30 kids and teach them how to grow and assign the farmland for them to literally go through that whole cycle of farming.
Wow.
So, by end of that season, they're actually hands-on with something and they actually carry something home saying, Amma, I grew this.
Wow.
Right? And similar experience, we also actually give it to them with dairy, like Indian dairy, like native cows, what are our native species, what are their issues, what they eat and how it happens, that whole dairy cycle, how it happens. Even we share that knowledge also with the school children.
Wow.
And around the communities where we built, like a lot of school children or college children, they actually come and visit, understand technically how our communities are net zero. What does this net zero means really? So that also happens through Organo at School.
So it's become like an educational institution also, that to hands-on, first-hand experience.
Yeah, we are more like experiential learning is what our objective is. And we don't compete with any school. In fact, we complement all other schools.
Yes, of course.
May it be Oak Ridge or Srinidhi or Jubilee Hills Public School. A lot of kids, actually, they send kids to our communities and we actually give them tours. And our experts go to their schools and give lectures.
Wonderful.
Right? That's what we do in Organo. And apart from this, we also have something called Slow Down Place, which is to connect, like bring about native foods. Right? I mean, organic food is what they actually use it, and then they develop cuisine within our communities. Our community people within their clubhouses, they need to eat healthy food.
Right.
And we expect those people to enjoy benefits of serviced. Like it's more like serviced homes is what we are giving. It's more like a leisure homes. So obviously all those people who are coming from villages will not have that culinary expertise.
Right.
So we train them under some experts and we embrace them, and through them we actually develop this native cuisine as much as possible. We develop. That has become another business by default. As part of our communities, we have large dairy system that we developed, and a constant research also should go on. So to make sure our communities have best dairy practices plus best native cattle
Native cattle.
with proper pedigree, like knowing that okay, this is Gir cow, and original Gir cow. There is no adulteration in terms of breed.
Yes.
For that, we created a farmland. We have our own dairy setup where we incubate cattle and dairy practices. That is another setup we have.
Okay.
So these are like small ancillary things to fulfill the eco-habitat thinking.
Wow, it's like literally encompassing every aspect.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, that's why actually in my profile you must have found, like your first question was, you call yourself laborer and this and
Change
that,
maker,
right? Change
yes.
maker. If it is just a project, probably I can confine to my own known domain. That is architect, engineer. This is what I am, right? That's what I could have confined myself, and I could have been a good businessman by smartly dealing with money. But when we have an intention to create an eco-habitat, we have to get out of it and then embrace so many things. You have to, sometimes you have to lift cow dung also. Sometimes you have to go climb on certain rooftop to set up solar panels. Or if biogas is not working, you have to go there and touch whatever that feces, all the filth. And you have to have that sensitivity and willingness to walk different paths. You have to be a biologist, you have to be dairy expert, you have to be farmer, you have
Willing
to
to
be
constantly
laborer,
learn
yeah.
also.
Willing to constantly look at. Like that's when we actually can complete eco-habitat thinking.
So, last but not the least, what would you tell the young aspiring architects or entrepreneurs? What is your calling for them who want to make their career in the field you are in?
I always keep telling our own people, like from our fraternity I can relate to, because there are a lot of architects, interior designers, or the civil engineers, developers, mechanical engineers. These are the people who belong to our core industry here, left over here. The other people who are into IT and then some other electronic backgrounds and things, like those people they see different India, and we see different India.
Right.
So we as a new India, right, I am actually seeing there is a lot of talent depletion that is happening.
Okay.
Maybe in design, maybe in execution, civil engineering, all these areas.
Okay.
And to all those youngsters, I actually can tell that I draw enormous kick out of what I do. Every day it is so fulfilling, and even if I die suddenly, I don't have absolutely zero regrets, because there's something that you contributed in bringing a change, which probably future, like going forward, our kids have to see what is village, right? You cannot kill a culture.
Correct.
Right? So people like you, like younger talent, if you embrace a little bit and try to bring your attention to the like basic stuff, like basic earth, what is really important, what is really essential. I can tell you, money is not a problem. Money is there in the industry.
Right.
You can make money. You can, in fact, become as big as you want. Like you can be richest. But the point is, like if you equally enjoy making impact on environment and people, it is soul-filling. That money is really priceless.
You think there should be a strong purpose behind what you do, and including everybody, like not just people, but then the entire species, like entire
Triple bottom line.
Triple bottom
Yeah,
line.
environment and social impact.
Social impact. Yes.
So I would say yes, right? I mean, a lot of companies, if you see CSRs, a lot of big companies, they declare CSR, social, corporate social responsibility. Towards that, they actually allocate some money, and then through that they run charities.
Correct. Yes.
Or some impact related works around environment and things like this. But I would say modern generation at least should not look at CSR as a separate aspect, but it should be inclusive part of the business thinking.
Wow.
Right? When you're actually looking at it, could be somebody setting up a boutique, or it could be a fashion brand, or it could be anything. That they're actually doing. In that, if they can weave social impact as well as environmental impact as inherent part of the business model itself, then obviously you just keep running and then make money, as much money as a capitalist that you want to. But there's a huge impact it will unfold as.
Wow.
Whereas you make money conventionally, however you want to do, right? Like I keep doing mining, do whatever damage, make money, or after that I actually do allocate some money towards CSR is not a great business model.
Right.
The youngsters should actually mainstream TBL thinking, triple bottom line thinking.
Wow. Such a beautiful conversation I had with you.
Thank you.
And I think you articulated so many things in such a beautiful manner. This will definitely be an inspiration to a lot of them. You just didn't speak about your field of work, but then you addressed the entire youth and what they should be thinking and how they should be looking at whatever they're doing in their life as their careers or otherwise. Thank you so much for your valuable time, and thank you for making it on my show once again.
Thank you very much. So nice.
I hope you found this episode impactful and inspiring like the way I did. Please do subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more updates. See you all next week. Signing off, Shilpa Reddy.